Chapter 5. Could this be it? When the pandemic struck, the world was caught off guard. Fear and uncertainty gripped most people as it became clear that life would never return to what it once was. For many, the thought of such drastic change was terrifying. Yet for me, the arrival of the pandemic brought none of that anxiety. I found myself unbothered by the situation. My routine had never included much time outside the house anyway, so the sudden need to stay home didn't feel like a dramatic shift. In fact, it offered me a new sense of peace. For the first time, I no longer had to physically attend school or confront the faces I usually tried to avoid. I was spared from entering environments that always felt hostile, feeling more like a lion's den than a classroom. The pandemic, while unsettling for most, gave me a kind of freedom I hadn't known before. It honestly was a shy girl's dream. With everyone staying home, I didn't have to worry about social pressure or the stress that came with constantly being around people. It was surprisingly comfortable, and I got to breathe a little easier. Then, during all this, I got my first period. Honestly, it wasn't as dramatic as I thought it would be. I pretended to be scared, but deep down, I kind of expected it. I was just going through the motions because that's what everyone else did, and I figured I should too. Things started changing for me. I actually started working out and cut soda out completely. The whole pandemic experience sort of humbled me, and I picked up some healthier habits without really planning on it. Along with all those changes, I started talking to God more openly, but as in like spitting out random stuff. My prayers were pretty simple and repetitive, almost like I was reading from a list. Every night, I'd ask for the same things, hoping something would change. Even though I wasn't really sure how to pray the right way, I just spoke my mind. Sometimes I'd hope things would change overnight, but whether they did or not, I kept going on about my life and found comfort in my new routine. At one point, I made the decision to delete all my social media accounts. I lost interest in sharing or connecting with people online and didn't feel like talking to anyone anymore. Instead, I withdrew completely, choosing to stay away from everyone. I didn't want any friends in my life. Even the one old friend I always kept in touch with, I began to distance myself from. Eventually, I found myself very much alone. Even though people continued to reach out and tried to speak to me, I wouldn't respond. If I did reply, I would lie to their faces, pretending to want a conversation when in reality, I didn't. I just didn't want to come across as mean. I stopped claiming anyone as my friend, except for my one old friend who I barely spoke to. I remember mentioning her in my English writing assignments while we were all stuck at home doing Zoom classes. She was the only person I had, yet ironically, she was also the one I ended up treating poorly. She wasn't the only one though. I didn't consider the other people who would actually talk to me. I just completely ghosted them. It wasn't their fault. It was mine. I regret it deeply now. Not everyone was cruel or mean. Some people actually found me funny and liked being around me. Looking back, I can admit I did only care about myself, but honestly, can anyone blame me? No one ever stood by my side. I was exhausted by the endless petty drama and gossip that surrounded me, and I reached a breaking point where I wanted nothing to do with anyone anymore. Selfishness became my default, and forgiveness felt impossible, especially for people who never bothered to apologize for the ways they hurt me. I had been wounded too many times to count, and the pain became too much for me. I chose to accept solitude and own my independence. It felt like no matter what, nobody would ever see me. People always expected too much from a girl who simply wanted a friend. Nobody wanted to step up and take that role, not even the title, but the responsibility that came with it. I am still the same girl who was told by a boy in front of others that I would never get a boyfriend. All the boys laughed at the comment, and I pretended to laugh along with them, even though I was dying on the inside. I am also the same girl who was told by a girl that a boy was mean to me because he liked me, as if I was supposed to accept that harassment was somehow a sign of affection. Over time, it felt as though everything in my life slowly collapsed until isolation became my only choice. I kept wondering when someone would finally say, "I got you," or "I'm here for you." But when life got tough and obstacles started to build up, everyone vanished. People didn't want to be around anymore. They chose to flee as soon as things got difficult. Suddenly, I wasn't someone they could depend on, and to them, I became just another face in the crowd, someone who no longer mattered. The pain they caused was never acknowledged, and apologies never came. No matter how many times I was left hurting, they just left, acting as if I was invisible, as if my feelings and my presence no longer counted, but theirs did. I questioned whether it mattered to them when they left me to cry alone, whether it meant anything when they never called me a friend, even though I always considered them mine. I was always the one they relied on whenever they needed something they couldn't do themselves. Yet, in their eyes, I was the one who was afraid. That contradiction haunted me, making the loneliness feel even sharper. It's almost laughable how easily people let themselves off the hook, automatically saying, I didn't do anything wrong, when deeply they know they did. It's just not something they can accept too easily. The irony isn't lost on me. They act innocent, yet their silence is as damaging as any loud accusation. They put on a performance for everyone else, pretending to be good in public, while quietly causing pain behind the scenes. I refuse to be a victim to their chaos any longer. I was never part of their problems, but somehow I always got dragged in, expected to support them regardless of how they treated me. I stood by them, showing loyalty even when they continued to hurt me and take me for granted. Nobody ever tries to understand what it's like. How can anyone claim to feel anything about my experience when they never made the effort to see the real me? I know they never could understand. No one understands an outcast. I didn't have anyone to guide me or show me how to navigate this world. I walk through life as if I need a bulletproof vest, constantly on guard wherever I go. Words don't affect me anymore. They don't even make a dent. I've heard it all before, from so many people. Nothing surprises or changes me now. Being an outcast is my reality. It's the world I know best. Rejection and denial have become part of my everyday life, so much so that chasing after acceptance no longer makes sense. There's nothing left for me to pursue. When I look at myself, all I see is a girl whose reflection is shattered, someone who has been taken advantage of. Yet, those who caused the pain continue to laugh and live in peace, acting as if they did nothing wrong, as if everything will work out just fine. I can't help but wonder why it always seems like those who with bad intentions get everything handed to them, while good people are left to suffer. It feels like the world keeps giving them the tools to keep going, enabling them to thrive by tearing others down. Like I were standing in the middle of an enormous crowd. People walk past me, yet none of them seem to notice that I'm even there. It's just me with my thoughts as they linger around the atmosphere. I'd question whether I even belong. Does life even matter? Do I matter? Everything seemed to go numb every single time. I wanted to give up so badly. Nothing felt changing, like my mind suddenly went rogue. I live in a world with people who see me but don't see me. How do they care if they continually ignore? It doesn't make sense to be surrounded but not have your surroundings. I can't help but think, when will they see me?